I was forced to go to a job that I didn't find favorable. I had a lot of responsibilities, and I couldn't see a natural way that they tell you to get out of it. I had to pull something else. So that's when I began to learn about manifestation. I'll give you one of the biggest manifestations to date. I attribute everything that I've built at this particular time. Even I attribute everything that I've lost at this time to manifestation because I left religion. So obviously, when you leave religion, your family turns their back on you without saying it. I thought that I was crazy when
All right, so thanks so much for joining us. So I'm talking to Coach Reggie, who's a holistic coach. He helps people understand their true powers and inner wisdom. I want to thank you so much for making some time today, Coach Reggie.
absolutely happy to be here.
So let's jump right into it. Tell me a little bit about your awakening story. What's your background, and what were you doing before you started coaching people and helping people with their spirituality?
Before I became a coach, I was basically a personal trainer. I started in personal training, and I was doing that from like 2014 to like 2017. So that's what I was doing, personal training.
And then what led to your awakening, do you feel like?
What led to my awakening was losing a personal training business in the situation that I lost it in. I was forced to go to a job that I didn't find favorable, and I had a lot of responsibilities, and I couldn't see a natural way that they tell you to get out of it. I had to pull something else. So that's when I began to learn about manifestation.
How did this align with your like Christian values that you were raised with, and what were you thinking at the time?
It was the opposite, obviously. Before I was going to church, and I just didn't feel like it was doing it for me. It didn't hit doing the same things, seeing the same things, the same type of people. These people were not the people I was trying to be like. So I had to go study the people that I'm trying to be like, and they were always talking about manifestation. So then I learned from individuals who were teaching manifestation. But it didn't go well. It was, I left religion. So obviously, when you leave religion, your family turns their back on you without saying it.
So what did you learn about manifestation that sort of led you down a different path?
I learned that with your words are very powerful. Your words are sound frequencies, but also your thoughts as well. Your emotions are also magnetic. So whatever you're feeling is probably going to bring whatever it is you're feeling to you because you're created to be more of a magnet. So with that electricity, with your thoughts and the magnetism, you can bring this all to you. And I learned just by writing things down, but I had to first reprogram my subconscious mind. I had to write things down about myself that was positive. So to convince myself, not convince myself, but yes, convince myself that I was somebody that I didn't think I was. Because when you think you're somebody that is not a manifester or creator, you tend to give your power to something else.
Gotcha. So, a lot of folks were exposed to manifestation or the idea through like the book The Secret. What was your exposure to the whole manifestation idea?
It was from who taught Rhonda Burns the information, which was a person called Esther Hicks.
Hmm.
Esther Hicks was the person that was able to channel the consciousness Abraham. And through that experience, I learned from the person who gave Rhonda Byrne the information. And I just studied everything I could. Kevin Trudeau. I just studied whoever I could that was teaching it. Bob Proctor. I listened to a lot of motivational stuff before that, like such as Eric Thomas and Les Brown for a long time. So it just evolved me into different levels because they, in a way, were also talking about manifestation with a different type of, verbiage.
Exactly, exactly. So SX kind of led you into this path, and then through the other coaches that you were listening to and learning from, you kind of led yourself down your own path to learning about manifestation, it sounds like.
Yes, yes. It just, one thing leads to another when you don't think about how it's going to happen. You don't put no barriers up for yourself. You allow it to be the flow state. When you move in that direction, realizing that there's something at greater or works here. And as long as you put the energy out there, have the thought, motionalize, you visualize, and move in that direction, it's going to happen for you.
So at what point did you realize, okay, I'm actually creating something different for myself? Like I think there's a lot of talk about parallel timelines and that sort of thing. When did you realize, like, what was the first thing you manifested?
Okay. First thing I manifested, the first thing I manifested was a job. When I didn't have a job, I manifested a job that I didn't find favorable, which was Walmart. When I worked at Walmart at the time, when I had my own business and I lost it, I basically convinced myself that Walmart was paying me to work there to learn about manifestation. So then I took that energy and I put it into a better job, which was Amazon. Didn't like it that much, but it paid more than Walmart. And then I started to make videos online about what I'm learning. And people started to respond. I started to create programs. And the first thing I truly manifested to get me out of Amazon was I created a program called the Regeneration 2.0 program. It was a program that helped guys with girth, libido, these types of things, sexual energy, sexual transmutation, these types of things that would basically help them. And that income from that in that first month allowed me to quit my job.
Wow. Okay. So, you it led you instantly down the path of coaching, it sounds like.
Yes, yes.
And how'd you can I know you like a lot of DNA information. Now, how has that sort of led you to where you are right now?
Oh, well, basically, when you try to help others, you're first helping yourself. And if you're constantly growing, you're constantly learning, realizing that you don't know anything. If you open yourself up, realizing that you don't know everything, you're going to learn a lot more. And that's what I did. That's how I moved. I didn't set any expectations. I always took risks. I did the most difficult things that most people will not do, which is challenge oneself. And with that, you lose things, you lose people. With all that loss, you jump into different timelines where a better version of you exists because you're doing the things the better version of you would do. So with that, I began to move in that direction and just create things and create and create. And yeah, yeah, that's pretty much what it was. I just kept on moving in that direction.
So I know Ezra Hicks talks a lot about like co-creating reality. Do you feel like that's
Yes.
sort of what you're doing with Source and all that?
Yes, yes. I'm basically creating the reality that I want to live in. When you realize you have your power, you always could do that in the first place. It's the matter of since before you had basically conscious awareness, you were taught that there was something else that gave you power, which is why in this time, many of us are having to teach ourselves how to give it again. But these are actually our natural states of existence, the fact that we can create reality at any given time whenever we decide to, depending on the level of our emotion.
How is your family sort of taking your realization or your epiphany that you come into or the spiritual knowledge you've been learning?
My family doesn't, they struggle with it. They struggle with it. They call me radical. They call me, talk right behind my back. I love my family and they probably love me. They just do not understand because they're ignorant to who it is they are. But when you don't know who you are, the person who does is normally the one who's the eyeball out because it challenges your thoughts and your beliefs that you currently have. And every time you're around that person who is challenging their thoughts and beliefs, they're like a walking alarm clock. So it triggers them.
So do you feel like some sort of sense of responsibility, like you had to share this information you were learning with your family, or was it kind of like you're just gonna do it yourself and let them learn from your example?
Well, in the beginning, I tried to share it with them. I tried because they're the people I love, so they're the people that obviously I want to show them this new change. So I did try to share it with them at first, and with that, it didn't go well, and still to a point, it doesn't go well with them. But I know that as long as I stay on this mission, they're going to come over to this side anyway because this is the side they come from in the first place.
Exactly. So you say that eventually they're gonna come in to realize that they're gonna have their own awakening process, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they're going to have to. There's no other way about it. Either you awaken or you get left behind. That's basically what it is. So this is where we are right now. We were in the stage of ignorance, and that was bliss to a God. This is why they say ignorance is bliss. But we have, as gods, have chosen to be on a timer to wake ourselves up, and now that timer is close, and everybody's waking up now.
Do you feel like you're kind of an early adopter of this information, that you're like one of the early ones to kind of learn and now you can teach it to others? Is that kind of the responsibility that you've taken on?
Yes, before I got here, I chose to live my life in the way I lived. I chose my parents, I chose situation, I chose everything, and I chose to have the adversity that I've had before or in having now to actually get me where I have to go. With this adversity causes you to actually grow a lot faster. And because when you as the God that have chosen these things is met with a particular type of adversity, it actually makes you respond in a way where you find more about yourself. So this gives you more information about yourself. And then when you realize who you are, you begin to awaken aspects of you to make you never look back. So,
Yeah, I want
yes,
to, yeah, I want to run that back a little bit because you said that you are a god. Is that your belief that humans are actually gods?
my belief is yes. All of us are a part of an energy that comes from, even if you don't want to use the word God, I call primordial before this. And many of us have this. Now, I don't believe everybody in this reality of which we're living in is actually have a real soul. No. But I do believe that many beings that are waking up are the gods of this reality, of the gods of this realm, which is why they're the ones who are waking up right now, and others do not seem like it even like nothing is going on. There's something about that. There's something missing. A soul would realize when it's time to wake up, and somebody who doesn't have a soul wouldn't.
So explain like how does this just suppose with like the common Christianity beliefs and how do you kind of balance the two out? Like, do you think Christianity's been altered or the scriptures have been altered? How do you kind of balance this information? Because a lot of this information is counter to what traditional Christians are taught. So how do you kind of balance this information with maybe a true religion or what people consider to be true religion?
I don't balance it out. I don't think about it at all. I've tapped into the true religion, which is the knowledge of self. The knowledge of self is power. So when you realize that you can tap into the ancient books of you, you don't read one book, you read all the books of you. And all the books of you are billions and billions of data that you've already had in your body the whole time where you never need nothing to direct you because it was already latent within.
Wow. All right. So I noticed that you are big into doing activities outdoors, hugging trees, that sort of thing. What do you want to learn from nature? What do you get from being outside with nature?
If you're not feeling anything from the sun, that must mean you're toxic and you have not done the work. I'm tapped into the technology of nature. Nature is technology, it's true technology. Just like we're on a device right now, nature actually has its natural devices that are actually plugged into the planet. The planet holds on to information. Everything that goes on the planet, it knows what's going on. The trees speak to each other. They know what's going on, which means so I'm getting out there in nature because I'm unlocking the technology because we are nature. So if we're on a technology which is not like us all day long, you find that people lose themselves. They lose themselves not just mentally, lose themselves physically because when you look at blue light for too long, it messes up your eyes. When you're around technology, it throws off the body's energy. You know, it's basically reception that is false to the body. So when you get out in the real reception, this is why people cure depression and can get out there all day and feel so good because it's actually tied to neurotransmitters in your body to be out in nature. When you get out in the sun, what are you doing? You're allowing your body to secrete more serotonin, which is located in your gut,
It's,
95%.
it sounds like you're talking about like natural healing too. Is that a part of
Yes,
what
I
you're,
am.
okay,
That's
so go into that a little bit.
mhm. Okay. So basically when I had my spiritual awakening, I tapped into natural healing as far as being vegan and stop eating meat. And it was a struggle for a long time to stop eating meat because obviously it was a part of the program. But when it comes down to it, we are nature. So we need nature to heal ourselves. So I got into healing back in 2017. Actually, before that, when I was a trainer as well. And I realized that you can't really help people change unless you change their bodies, which is going to naturally affect their minds. When their stomachs are clean, their communication is better. When their lower body fats, the cellular communication from head to toe can be better. So I got into herbs and medicine and copper and all these things because it allows the body to heal itself using the substances around you, which is nature.
Gotcha. So, when you work with students, how do you help them? What is the primary way of coaching that you do with your students currently?
I have not one set template for each student because everybody is different. Every experience is different. Some people just want to get healthy, but some people want to activate their dormant DNA. There's levels that people exist on that I can help them on. Some people do not want to exist on the level that I'm at right now. They just want to get healthy. And that's going to eventually get them to the level, but they have to do that level first. So I customize each program to the person.
Gotcha. So, how do people find you these days? How have you been able to build your business? And do you attribute that sort of your manifestation as well? Your manifestation, the things you learned about manifestation as well?
Yes, I attribute everything that I've built at this particular time. Even I attribute everything that I've lost at this time to manifestation because you cannot get something new unless you lose something old sometimes. So I attribute everything that I've put together because the power of manifestation. Yes, everything.
Explain a little bit more about the things you've lost and the thing you said things you've gained, but also the things you've lost. What things have you lost?
I've lost anybody that I could deem a close friend. I've lost relationships with my children. I've lost family. I've lost businesses. I've lost my spouse. I've gained much more, but the thing is, you will lose things if they're not on the timeline, what you're trying to exist at. And people will keep themselves at their timeline because they are afraid to let go of attachments that just are part of a video game that we're playing called life at this time. So I've lost a few things, but I don't look at them as lost. I look at them as just this is another timeline that I used to exist in, and they had to go.
It sounds like what you've experienced has been kind of like a lonely existence, though, because a lot of the people who are close to you or who should be close to you have kind of moved in different directions. Do you look at it like that?
I would rather be where I'm at right now, discovering the true knowledge of self, than be around anybody who does not serve where it is we're going as a planet, because I'm not here for them. I'm here to save what they cannot see. I'm here to save what many cannot see. But this is why I have to see it. This is why I've been giving myself this responsibility. I love this. I love tapping into my ancient martial arts. I love tapping into talking to animals and bending fire, and I'll be soon in flight one of these days. Many of us will be. I love talking to my dragon. I love speaking dragon. I love healing. And the thing is, when you truly have love for self, you always come first. And if anybody slows you down and stops you from coming first, are they really here for you or not? And when you are somebody who is a giver and a lover, you will find a lot of takers around you because
Hmm.
you are the light.
You said a lot in that whole answer there. Let's go back to what you said about the dragons, first of all. So I know you kind of speak dragon language. Talk a little about the importance of dragons. Are they just mythical creatures, or are there more to it than that?
If they were just mythical creatures, they would not tell you by movies they exist, but never tell you they existed. It's so strange. We look go to a museum and we see dinosaurs, but we never see dragons. Meanwhile, we always see dragons on our shows, and that seems to be what drives us more. This is why dragon shows make the most money. There's a reason for that. Because dragons are primordial beings that are of infinite intelligence, and are many of you right now. Many of you are tapped into the dragon because you are a dragon, and people find that so difficult to believe, but somebody had to tell you first so you could actually believe it, plant the seed. So dragons they come in many forms. Some dragons have scales, some dragons have scales and feathers, some dragons have feathers. They look differently than people think they do. They're not just one thing. Some dragons are as big as states. Some dragons are as big as countries. This is how it goes. Dragons can turn into different forms. Many dragons are your hawks that you're flying over your house, but it's the energy, and that dragon is under the earth right now waiting to wake up. Some dragons can teleport. Some dragons can move cloaked and don't even make a sound. Dragons are very, very intelligent and more beyond what we think they are. Yes, they're beyond mythical.
So what are dragons around to teach us then about life or about ourselves?
Dragons are around teaches what it really is, like what this earth really is, the special aspect that it really is, and that it's just sleep right now. And this earth was much more when it was awake. And dragons are here to teach us about that, about ourselves. I mean, when we learn about ourselves, we don't need them. We know what to do. We already know what to do. We have the answers.
So I was watching a couple of your videos and you were sharing a dragon light language. Could you talk a little bit about what is a light language and what did the dragons say to you when you speak via their light language?
Well, they is actually me. I am a dragon. So
Right.
people, they think that I'm channeling something else. I'm actually channeling something from within. It is not anywhere that I'm pulling. Like a lot of people will pull and talk to other beings. That's lower level medium. No, you can pull this from here. There's nothing you need. It's all here. So, basically, the dragons, what they say to me, what they speak to me, they are me. So it's about what I'm saying. I'm basically waking the people up. I'm calibrating the people. I'm attuning chakras. I'm helping with trauma. I'm activating abilities. That's what I'm doing. And people are activating with this stuff right now. So yes, because when we speak to each other, the old saying, "Do you feel me?" Because when we actually spoke to each other in our natural states, we felt each other. We lent each other energy. We lent each other gifts for a short period of time. We could actually do that as well. We felt each other with vibrational tones filled with sacred geometry that actually are meant to unlock key codes inside the human body.
So how did you like come into an understanding of all this information? Started with the law of manifestation. Did you read books? Did you just go within where this information come from?
I read a lot of books in the beginning, like many of us do. I'm at a stage where I don't have to read any books right now because I'm already tapping into myself. So I already, if I want to know anything, I'll just ask myself because we already have the information inside of us. It's only a matter of us tapping in. But in the beginning, I read many, many Malachi Z York books. I will attribute the biggest jump in my ascension to reading Malachi Z York books because
Nuapians.
yeah, the Nuwapians. Well, not the Nuwapians. I know he started them, but I just Malachi Europe for me.
Right.
I don't really know any Nuwapians. I've talked to a few Nuwapians, but I don't really like to follow movements. I just listen to the teacher and take the information as it was meant to be taken, no matter what the teacher has done or was told that he did. I don't care about that because I know where we are right now in the stage, and if you have a really big voice, they try to shut you up. But I read a lot of his books, and a lot of his books allowed me to tap into the power of shrooms because I woke myself up by reading his books. Shrooms amplified what it is you already do. So if you're reading and you're tapping in to plant medicine which was I attribute the greatest jump in my ascension by using plant medicine, and I'll get into those soon. But when you're reading and you're ascending and you're chasing life and you read certain books and you tap into shrooms, it amplifies what you're already doing. But if you're not doing anything, it amplifies that too, which is why some people call it a bad trip because you're living a useless existence that is not chasing life. Everything on this planet is supposed to grow. If you don't grow and then you eat something that's making you grow, it's going to show you what you're not doing 10 times over.
So what particular books do you remember reading from Malachi Zero? Because I actually was introduced to Malachi Zero too when I lived in Tampa,
Yeah.
which I wasn't affiliated with the New Wapians, but I just knew some brothers who were. What
Mhm.
what books would you say were important for your introduction to this way of thinking?
I would say the Melanite Children, the Man from Planet Risk, the Sun People. I would say the Power of Concentration. Oh man, shoot, the Dog. Are there Black Devils? Jesus Found in Egypt. Man, yo, Malachi Z. York books. He took it to another level with it, and like I said, I liked what he was doing, but he did it. It was a little, to me, it was a little premature because the society wasn't ready. I believe that if he did it now, it wouldn't be so much like with the pyramids and stuff. But I mean, he did what he was supposed to do as part of the mission. That's all I'm saying. I just, but I know that when we get what we got to get, him and other people are going to be up out of here anyway, and they did their job. Like many of us take a more difficult mission to wake up people up because we know the end result. So we know that we'll go through all these things, but we know with greater risk is greater reward. So we know the reward is coming for us as well, and we're willing to take the hit in the front line
Very
war.
true. Very true. So I
Yeah.
have a question. As you were kind of going through your awakening experience, was there any point where you thought you were kind of crazy? What's this information? Or did you just embrace it?
I thought that I was crazy when the languages came through because I felt like I was making them up. I felt like that because they sounded like gibberish, and I didn't realize I had to work on them in order for them to calibrate my body to calibrate for them, so my throat chakra can express them clearer. Luckily, they felt so good when it first came through. I just kept on going and going and going, and I never stopped. Every day for 4 years, I began to practice that. So yeah, for that, I felt like I was going crazy, but I fixed that by doing it and realizing that I wasn't. The other information, no, because I had already manifested a lot of things that many individuals couldn't manifest. I'll give you one of the biggest manifestations to date. I was living in Delaware at the time and I wanted to move back to Jersey. I didn't have the money, business was going okay, but it wasn't doing that great. And I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna win the biggest jackpot in Delaware history with this exact hand on this exact game. I put it out there. I did all my techniques. I didn't even worry about it. I went back to the casino about 3 months later, 15 minutes. I won $284,000. Right.
Wow.
And with the exact hand that I said I was going to do. And everybody looked at me and like, why you're not jumping inside? I said, because I already knew it was going to happen. Give me cash. I walked at the door and I moved to Jersey 4 months later.
What'd you end up doing with that money? Did you just move and start a new life?
I splurged a little bit. If I bought a little car, that was one of my little bucket list things. I wound up selling that car like 6 months later. I bought a house. I bought another vehicle. I put money into my business. I had a business at the time. I put money into that. That's what I did with the money. I just kept on using it to make more money. You
Cool,
know,
cool. All right. So
yeah.
what else would you like to share about awakenings for folks who may be experiencing some new information? Maybe it could be through education, the foods they there's so many ways you can awaken. Like everybody has a unique experience. Is there
Yes.
anything else you'd like to share?
Yes, I would like to tell people that everything that you're doing right now and you're supposed to be doing, but it depends how long you want to do it. Now, you can be where you are right now for as long as you decide to feel like that. Now, if you are trying to move to a different timeline, and what I say by a different timeline, I mean the better version of you exists in a higher timeline. If anybody's ever remember the old commercials back in the day where you had the good you and the bad you. Well, that's your higher aspect, and that's your ego. And your ego likes to exist in any timeline that's existing, and it likes to stay put. It's the challenger that's inside of you. And many of you are going through challenges right now with adversity that you're only looking at the bad part about. Now, much adversity is here to show you who you actually are so you can respond to that and grow. This is why you decide to be here so you can grow. We don't like growing unless we have a little adversary. That's the fun for us in this video game. And if you tap into that, you won't react to the things that happen in your life as a victim. You'll react to them as, oh, this must be happening for me. What is this telling me about myself? And if you enter into that type of state of perspective and being, you become more of the God that can look over the reality, not be just in the reality, but you can do both at the same time. When you do that and you accept your challenges of self or challenges by others and standing up for yourself and moving in the heart space and healing, which is many people got to do. We got to heal. Healing is first before anything. All right. Many of us are unhealed. We're not doing our shadow work. People say, well, what's shadow work, man? First thing about shadow work is being accountable for everything that's ever happened to you, realizing and taking responsibility for everything that's happening to you, realizing that you created it because it's all of yours anyway. It's your power. The fact of the matter is, anything that happens to you, if you think it's not yours, you lose control over that power. And by taking all of your power back, you get to harness and transmute that to create your reality. But it starts with taking your power back, realizing this was all your fault in the first place.
We can do a whole nother video on shadow work, I'm sure. All right,
Good.
Coach Reg, so I have a few questions that I like to ask all my guests. The first one is, why are you here?
I'm here to awaken humanity. Basically, I'm here, like many others, to assist humanity and elevate into a new level of being, a new level of understanding. I'm here to show them what we are really about.
What is the most important lesson that you learned about life so far?
That you're always a student.
My last question is, what advice would you give someone who needs to just now starting their awakening journey, or they're sort of starting to question things or starting to feel different sensations? What would you advise them?
Allow whatever has to happen to you so it can happen for you. A lot of people are in this ascension process and they're like, it's too much and I'm trying, I don't want to do it. But let me tell you something, you're going to do it anyway. It depends how hard you want this to be. Just learn something new every day and don't put too much pressure on yourself and stop being so hard on yourself because this is showing no love for self. You have to be patient with wherever you are and be okay with that and stop comparing yourself to other individuals because comparison is not what it is for a chosen being that is here to wake up. No.
Coach Reg, where can people find you if they want to learn more about you, they want to follow you, they want to learn from your lessons? Where should they go to find you?
You can find me on Instagram under Coach Reg B. That's where I do most of my posting, or Mr. Intensity, but it's really just Coach Reg B at the same. You can find my website at earththeelevation.com where I sell herbs sourced from the grower infused with the power of sacred geometry, giving you more of a mind, body, and soul type of experience. Basically pulling aspects of healing from other dimensions and bringing it here so you can tap into those other dimensions that already exist inside of you. That's what Earthly Elevations is about, but you can find me on earthlyelevation.com or Coach Reg B.
Very good, Coach Reg. I want to thank you so much for sharing some information for us. Maybe we'll have you back on, man. You shared a wealth of information. I'm sure we could talk about this for hours.
Absolutely, brother.
Thanks so much.
You.